You won't believe what's about to happen behind the scenes at Manchester United. A twist of epic proportions could completely change the club's direction in the coming weeks. Exclusive information, kept under lock and key, has just come to light and involves a name that has been drawing attention for his genius on the pitch, his decisive impact on historic achievements, and his style of play that seems tailor-made to shine in the Premier League. If you want to stay on top of everything, subscribe quickly to Manchester United rumours and news and hit the bell, because what's coming promises to set Old Trafford on fire. With the arrival of Ruben Amorim as head coach and the new stance of Jim Ratcliffe behind the scenes, Manchester United is entering a phase of total reconstruction, focusing on names that bring not only skill but also tactical intelligence, intensity, and a hunger for titles. And it is precisely in this context that a target emerges that few expected to see on the red list. He recently returned to Brazilian football after a loan spell in Europe, but his bags are practically packed for a new challenge. The question hanging in the air is, will United manage to close this deal in time, before dangerous competitors take the lead? Anyone who walks the corridors of Carrington has heard the name being whispered with increasing frequency. Club scouts, sporting directors, and members of the coaching staff have begun to meet to analyse the possibilities, and the name Thiago Almada has gained momentum with frightening speed. Yes, him, the Argentine attacking midfielder who returned to Botafogo after a loan spell at Lyon and was simply essential in the campaign that led the Rio de Janeiro club to win the Copa Libertadores and the Brasileirão in 2024. At just 23 years old, he is already treated as a rare gem in South America and has everything it takes to explode onto the European scene. The expectation is sky high, and for good reason. Thiago Almada's meteoric rise on the South American stage has been watched with keen eyes by the entire elite of world football. In just 26 matches for Botafogo, the Argentine has already managed to leave a mark that transcends numbers. It's true that he only found the net 3 times, but to limit his impact to goal statistics would be a gross mistake. Almada has been the cog that makes the Rio team's offensive system turn with fluidity and intelligence. His refined touches, his above-average vision, and his tactical reading show a rare maturity for someone only 23 years old. More than just a player, he has become a reference on the pitch, and that, inevitably, has attracted the eyes of the old continent. Those who closely followed Botafogo's decisive matches in 2024 witnessed something that goes beyond technical football. Almada showed personality. He was the team's brain in crucial moments, taking responsibility for orchestrating plays in high-pressure scenarios where many others would have hidden. There were numerous times when his simple movement between the opposition's defensive lines disorganized their entire system. In continental duels, facing hostile stadiums and relentless markers, he remained calm, saw improbable angles, and served teammates with passes that seemed impossible. This is exactly the kind of attitude that top European clubs look for, not just technique, but also the courage to be decisive when everything is on the line. The intensity with which Almada plays is another impressive factor. He is not just a classic playmaker, one of those who passes sideways waiting for the game to happen around him. No. He is involved, active, and aggressive in the way he positions himself between the lines, often receiving the ball with his back to goal, turning quickly, and accelerating the pace of the attack. His mobility makes him unpredictable, whether he's drifting to the flanks, dropping deep to initiate plays, or infiltrating between defenders. This dynamism has enchanted scouts from all over the world, especially those working for clubs that demand intensity and verticality. Manchester United, looking to rebuild its midfield with a more modern and creative style, sees Almada as exactly the missing piece. And it is in this scenario that a real war is unfolding behind the scenes. Manchester United, Benfica, and Monterrey are now in a race that mixes strategy, seduction, and multi-million-pound figures. Each club presents a distinct project. United offers the prestige of the Premier League, the grandeur of Old Trafford, and the chance to join a squad in transformation under the command of Ruben Amorim. Benfica, on the other hand, bets on its history of developing young South American talents, offering a smoother transition to European football. Meanwhile, Monterrey emerges as a surprise element, with an aggressive financial project and the promise of absolute stardom in Mexican football. Among all these options, Thiago Almada is at the center of a storm of proposals, expectations, and decisions that could shape the next years of his career, and, perhaps, of Manchester United itself. Botafogo, while trying to keep the player after his sensational spell, is increasingly aware that holding on to Thiago Almada for much longer will be an almost impossible mission. The Argentine's brilliant performance has not gone unnoticed, and the interest from abroad is becoming more and more seductive, not only financially, but especially in a sporting sense. The club's board, aware of the valuable asset they have, has already made it clear behind the scenes, any offer below €50 million will not even be considered. Converted, This amount represents about £42 million, 360 million Brazilian reals, a figure that, if realized, could go down in history as one of the largest international transactions in Brazilian football in 2025. However, the price tag itself is not the only factor at play. For Botafogo, the sale of Almada represents a strategic opportunity to restructure the club's project. With an eye on competing in new continental competitions and the need to strengthen key areas, the board is already planning to invest a significant portion of the proceeds in specific signings, as well as settling internal commitments and improving the professional football infrastructure. There are even rumors that part of the funds would be allocated to expanding the coaching staff and developing the training center, signs of a more ambitious project, partly sustained by Almada's departure. But what is unfolding behind this movement goes far beyond financial spreadsheets and promises of reinvestment. What is underway is a true behind-the-scenes war, where clubs, agents, and even sponsors compete for influence in the decisions that will define the athlete's future. Each side acts with its own strategy. While Manchester United bets on the charm of its shirt, the prestige of the Premier League, and the promise of a consistent technical project under Ruben Amorim, Benfica operates with discretion, offering stability, a European showcase, and a track record of success with young South Americans. Monterrey, on the other hand, arrives with heavy artillery, tempting figures, a project of absolute stardom, and a salary offer that could sway even the most convinced. Within this web of interests, every word spoken in meetings, every clause proposed in a contract, and every gesture from Almada's representatives are meticulously analyzed by all parties involved. There is a growing sense that this is not just the sale of a promising player, but a key piece on a strategic chessboard that involves much more than football. The possibility of Almada being the name that helps redefine Manchester United, gives prominence to Benfica, or boosts Monterrey's international project makes all involved move with extreme care, but also with the urgency of those who know that this is one of those moments that can change everything. On the English side, Manchester United is acting with unusual urgency. After years of uncertainty, failed reconstructions, and bets that did not yield the expected return, the club seems determined not to make a mistake in the new phase beginning under Ruben Amorim. Sources close to the Old Trafford hierarchy reveal that Thiago Almada's name has rapidly gained traction among the club's key decision-makers. Amorim, known for his analytical and detailed profile, has reportedly spent hours reviewing the Argentine's matches, cross-referencing technical and tactical reports that reinforce the idea that Almada is not just another good player, he could be the differential the project was missing. The coach's approval was given with conviction, and since then, contacts with the player's entourage have intensified. The Manchester United coaching staff, working directly with Amorim to assemble a competitive and functional squad within his playing philosophy, is convinced that Almada has the ideal characteristics to assume a central role in the team's new offensive system. The creative department, one of the most criticized areas in recent seasons, lacks a player who combines refined technique, constant mobility, and vertical vision. Almada emerges as the answer to this need. His ability to break lines with incisive passes, combined with his skill in carrying the ball at speed and his close control dribbling, make him a constant threat to well-organized defenses, exactly the profile Ruben Amorim is looking for to bring his game plan to life in a league as demanding as the Premier League. Furthermore, Almada's versatility has enchanted the strategists at Carrington. He is not a player with a fixed position. He can play centrally, dominating the game between the opposition's lines, but he can also drift wide, confusing markers and opening up spaces for other players to infiltrate. Some see him as a modern second striker, one who surprisingly appears in the box to finish but also drops back to build play. This versatility is pure gold for a coach like Amorim, who likes tactical variations and demands that his players understand different roles within the same system. The Argentine fits this model perfectly, offering the coach dynamic and unpredictable tactical options. Another factor that weighs heavily is Almada's on-field demeanor. He doesn't hide, even in moments of greatest pressure. He shows personality, demands the ball, gestures, and leads plays with natural authority. This type of attitude has been one of the main gaps in the current Manchester United squad, which is still in transition after a cycle of traumatic changes and subpar performances. Ruben Amorim is looking for, in addition to technical quality, players with competitive fibre, who do not tremble in front of packed stadiums and who are capable of positively influencing the group's behaviour. Almada, according to the coaching staff's analysis, has exactly this profile, and that is why, at this moment, he is more than approved. He is desired. What many fans still don't know, and what few outlets have dared to reveal, is that Thiago Almada did not appear on Manchester United's radar out of nowhere. In fact, the club had been monitoring the Argentine talent since his first flashes of brilliance at Vélez Sarsfield, when he was still considered a developing gem in Argentina. At that time, United already had detailed reports on Almada's performance, compiled by a scouting team that even attended matches in person in the Argentine Championship. The data collected already indicated that he was a special player, extremely technical, tactically intelligent, and with a sense of offensive positioning that stood out even in a team still under development. However, at that time, other factors, such as competition from Spanish clubs and United's internal transfer policy, prevented a concrete move. With Almoda's transfer to North American football, the English club's attention cooled. The MLS is still viewed with some skepticism by some European boards, and the change of continent reduced the player's visibility. However, his move to Lyon reignited the radar, and it was his spell at Botafogo that turned admiration into urgency. The way Almoda led the Rio club in the Libertadores and Brasileirão campaigns impressed even the most skeptical. The technical explosion and tactical maturity displayed in Brazil were considered the definitive turning point for Manchester United to decide to act. Now, according to sources close to the Old Trafford hierarchy, the Red Devils are preparing a complete package: the full purchase of the players' rights, bonuses for achieving targets in the Premier League, and even incentives linked to international performance in European tournaments. The proposal, which is being assembled with the direct approval of Ruben Amorim and the supervision of Jim Ratcliffe, promises to be one of the most aggressive of the current window. And this time, United does not intend to just watch while other clubs take their targets. Meanwhile, Benfica is moving with its characteristic efficiency. The Portuguese club wants to repeat the success it has had with other South Americans and is betting on linguistic familiarity and a good history of adaptation to convince the player. Monterrey, with an aggressive financial project and world-class infrastructure, promises to offer the Argentine absolute stardom and astronomical salaries. It is a dispute being fought in silence, behind the scenes, with proposals being fine-tuned daily, phone calls crossing continents, and intermediaries racing against time. But the psychological factor could be decisive. Almoda, according to sources close to the player, is swayed by the possibility of wearing the Manchester United shirt. He was reportedly impressed with the project presented by Ruben Amorim's team, which envisions a profound reconstruction, with a leading role for young, dynamic, and creative players. Furthermore, the idea of playing in the Premier League, considered the most intense and competitive league in the world, seduces the athlete. The promise of playing at Old Trafford, in front of a passionate and demanding crowd, also weighs heavily. Behind the scenes at Botafogo, the situation is being handled with caution. The board is reportedly already negotiating with Almoda's representatives clauses for performance-based bonuses and even a percentage of a future resale, which could complicate an agreement with United, who prefer more straightforward deals with fewer financial variables. The Rio club's demand is clear: no long-term installments or vague promises. Either the payment is made upfront, or the player stays on the pitch, at least for a few more months. But is Manchester United willing to open its coffers now? The answer may come in the next few hours. People linked to the English club's finance department indicate that NOS, Jim Ratcliffe's group, has given the green light for an impact signing, provided that the name involved represents a sporting and commercial return. Almoda, in this context, fits perfectly. Young, charismatic, already with experience in 3 different leagues, and with the potential to become a global icon. If all goes as planned, the official offer should be sent this week, and it could be the biggest transaction in South American football in 2025. Ruben Amorim, for his part, has reportedly already instructed his coaching staff to study ways to fit Almoda into his tactical scheme. The idea would be to use him as a link between midfield and attack, in a hybrid role of playmaker and infiltrator, something Amorim highly valued at Sporting. The coach believes the Argentine can take on a technical leadership role in United's new project and wants to give him the freedom to float in the attacking third, creating passing lanes and linking up with forwards in quick, lethal plays. The Manchester United fanbase, always hungry for news, is starting to mobilize on social media. Hashtags with Almoda's name are already circulating among fan groups, and videos of his best moments are going viral on profiles that closely follow the club's behind-the-scenes activities. The expectation is that, if the negotiation progresses, the player could be presented during the pre-season, giving him time to adapt and integrate into the squad. The English press is also beginning to treat the topic more seriously, and influential names in sports journalism consider Almoda's signing as one of the most promising of the European summer. But the risk exists. If United hesitates, Benfica could finalize the deal in a flash. If Almoda gives preference to the Mexican project, Monterrey could make an irresistible offer. And if Botafogo itself decides to wait a little longer for a bigger offer, time could become the English club's enemy. It is a high-stakes chess game, where every move must be precise, calculated, and swift. The fans can hardly wait for the news that will shake the club's foundations. Manchester United fan, what did you think of this? Do you think Thiago Almada is a good reinforcement to wear our red shirt? Comment your opinion. I would love to know what you think. Oh, and stay tuned to the Manchester United Rumours and News channel, because I'm always posting the latest Manchester United news. Subscribe now so you don't miss any updates. Thank you for your attention, and I'll see you in the next video.